Hi, welcome back. So we're continuing to work on the Kubota engine rebuild. The next thing I'm going to do is just install the air intake or air filter bracket. It's mounted right here up in front, right off the injector pump. We'll just go ahead and get this mounted. Actually, before I do that, make sure I can get this. That's the throttle control. I believe that's a 12, so we'll need a 12. Next, let's install our linkage to the injector pump. So I need a washer and then a cotter pin. Next thing we're going to do is install the firewall. So this fits up here like this. It fits right up here on the head. See, there's a head bolt here. So make sure it goes on that bolt there. What we have there is a lifting hook or a lifting eyelet, and then a lock washer and a nut. We'll get this started. And then over here, there's a bolt here. So it's one of these bolts that holds the engine to the bell housing. So that goes here. So let me get that. I'm gonna loosen this off just so I have a little bit of play or wiggle room here, okay? I just needed to get it started. Okay? Okay, so don't be afraid to give it a good amount of torque. Okay, so one bolt here, the one that I was explaining on the head. Give that a good torque. There's another 12 millimeter bolt that we're going to put right down in here into the intake. There we go. Okay, and then we'll get this in. I like that. Now I'm going to install the fuel line. So there it is onto the fuel pump. And then over up on here, off from the fuel filter. And since we're back over on this side, let us change the fuel filter. So the fuel filter, I believe, if you unscrew this bolt, make sure your fuel valve is in the off position. Whoops. Pull off this fuel bowl. And what we're going to replace is this cartridge right here. This is essentially your fuel filter. I'll throw this in the trash. To be on the safe side, I'll also dump this. Here in Ben's machines, we don't throw anything out, so I'll just... What was that? Something... Oh, there's a spring in the bottom of this. Actually, before we put it together, let me take this opportunity just to clean the inside of the bowl out. I see some residue. Here we go. Spring. Of course, you gotta get the... Oh wow, got it on the second try. That spring's gotta sit in that little cup there on the bottom. Here's our brand new fuel filter. It is Kubota part number 1T021-43560. Yeah, cartridge has to go like that. Up she goes. Make sure your O-ring is still in place. Make sure that label is up in the front. And then turn this nut. And there you have it. That's how you change the filter. Make sure that's snug. Turn the fuel valve on, and that's done. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is install the decompression valve. So I clamped that here on the dash back, how many months ago now? 5 months ago? Okay, now I can't get the vice grips off. There. Okay. So there's 2 bolts here that the bracket mounts to. There's a clamp here, so you need a flat blade. This is going to go flying, I know it. I'll put it on the battery tray. So this you feed through this valve up here, and there's a spring here. The spring goes over on this. There's a little hole on this side of the decompression valve. I've got that in place, and then you feed this wire into that opening there. Let's get these 2 bolts. They thread into the top of the valve cover. What this does is that this applies some downward pressure on I believe on the exhaust valves. And what that does is that it relieves a little bit of compression built up in the cylinder to ease the starting of the motor. So at startup you would pull this decompression valve. The engine would probably turn over quicker. Once the engine is started, then you would release. See, like this is decompression on, here's decompression off. I can feel tension. So what's happening here is I'm depressing that exhaust valve. So this is neutral. I'll get my wire stop threaded on the wire facing me, flat blade screwdriver, and just turn in this set screw like so. So now decompression on, decompression off. And this spring actually helps the lever to return to the neutral position. So let us tighten these 2 nuts. 10 on. That's good. The next step is let's install the side panel. Make sure your wire for your headlights is accessible. And this side panel goes up here like so. Next is this bracket. This bracket goes up here like this. Okay, so still in the process of installing this side engine cover. We have a few 10mm bolts installed already, but please note that down below there are the 2 14mm bolts that are used to mount the frame to the engine block, as well as to hold the side shield or side engine cover in place. So I made a comment early on that this tractor, the parts are very integrated, and here's a good example of that. So I'm now basically completing the installation of the frame to the engine while I'm installing the side engine cover as well. And there is one additional bolt we have to go and put down on that side, and then this will be the location for the muffler stay, which I have on order, and we should be receiving that soon. So got some good torque on this bolt because it's a frame bolt. That's good and tight. Okay, let's install our muffler next. This is the muffler. I did a little bit of work on this to clean this up. So I polished this nice chrome piece here on the end a bit, and the heat shield, I took it off, cleaned it down to bare metal, and primed it and painted it. So now let's get this installed, and it goes on the tractor right there like that. Stay. The muffler is held on by 4 lock washers and 4 10mm nuts. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, there is a muffler stay. It's essentially a bracket that that just provides a little bit of lateral support to the muffler. I didn't have that part, like it never came with the tractor, so I placed an order for it, and hopefully we'll be getting it next week. It's essentially 2 bolts, one bolt that threads into the underside of the muffler and the other one onto the side of the engine. So not sure if we're going to make a video of that. It's a straightforward installation. What I'm going to do is just give a little bit of upward pressure. Actually, I'm sorry, I need a 12mm, not a 10. Just give this some upward support. There's a good chance I'll have to loosen these off when I put the muffler stay on, but for now, let's put it on as if it's going to stay on forever. So there you go. Muffler's installed. I'm now going to install the other side engine shield. The next step will be to install the air intake. This part is located here. So before I install that, I better install the mounting bolt for this side shield. So let's get that in place first. So I got the clamp in place. I'll then get the boot back off this clamp, hoist this up over onto the intake pipe or intake. Looks like I gotta loosen this off even more. You get him in place just like that, and then tighten it. Now down here there are 2 12mm bolts that hold the air filter canister to this bracket. Okay, so we'll tighten these 2 bolts, and we'll get back to the injector stuff in a moment. I'll reinstall my 2 8mm bolts to hold the side shield in place now that I'll just get these back in. There we go. Okay, the next step to complete this, it wouldn't be a fresh rebuild if we didn't have a brand new air filter. Here's the number for this air filter, 46270. And what that looks like is like this. Warning, if attached sealing washer is not used, product warranty is void. Oh, okay, so we have to ensure that this sealing washer is used. That's fine, we will. We will now insert the filter. It has some really cool fins here to make this filter go really, really fast. It just sits in there like that. And then we have this nut. I will use the brand new supplied filter washer. Put some anti-seize on the threads. Thread this bolt into the center and make it tight. There you have it. Next step are these parts. There's a tab there. So I guess in order for me to get that in place, I have to put that like that. Okay, no problem. Up she goes. There we go. Maybe we do the bottom first. Bingo. Hey, there we go. Most complicated part of the job was getting the air filter on. We've basically done everything on this tractor. What should we do next? Let's get some engine oil in this tractor, shall we? The next thing I'm going to do is add some antifreeze. The next thing I'm going to do now is install or reinstall the injector fuel return line. So it's this little assembly right here. I'm going to run this through the firewall here, and they come and they sit right down here on top of the injectors. It comes up here and just plugs into a little connection port right here on the fuel tank. To get this connector back on, like that. And now we'll install these nuts to hold these return caps. And just tighten these on like that. The next activity will be to install our fuel lines. So our metal fuel lines that go from the injector pump to the top of the injectors. Of course, the system has completely been void of fuel, so I'm not going to put these on tight because the system or the fuel system is not primed. So I'm going to leave these loose, so as the engine turns over, I'll expect a little bit of fuel to just bleed off here. And as the engine pressurizes itself, I'll then use my wrench and tighten these back up. So I'm just going to have these on hand tight for now, and then we'll tighten them up when we do the startup, which is, we're almost there. What we'll do now is we'll install our battery. In the previous videos, we had replaced a oil seal in the rear axle. In order to do that job, I had to remove all the hydraulic fluid from the gear casing. So, since we're just about ready to do our first start, I want to replenish the level of the hydraulic oil. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to need to remove this plug, which is located right here. So I unscrewed that plug, and using a number 10 wrench, you have to remove this 10mm nut. And what this is going to do is, once this bolt is removed, this will be your signal to know that you have enough hydraulic fluid in the casing. Okay, so once oil starts to come out of this hole here, we know that we have enough fluid in the tractor. So I have a funnel in place, and I have brand new farm tractor lubricant right here. So let's get this in the tractor. There we go. All right, so that's when I know when I'm at my high level because the fluid is coming out. So you put this bolt back in place. I'm gonna give it a shot of glow plug heat. Contact. Gonna try that again. Give it a shot of glow plug. Contact. Looks like it runs. Well, there you go, another project completed. I'm really happy how this thing turned out. This tractor is back to its original condition, all original Kubota parts. I'm really happy how it turned out. So I ran a couple of heat cycles through the motor to make sure that everything's breaking in nice and carefully and evenly. What I'm gonna do, let the engine cool down, check all the fluid levels, check the bolts, make sure they're all torqued, and then get it loaded up on the trailer and get it back to the customer. I hope you enjoyed this series as much as we did. Stay tuned for the next one. We got some really fun things coming down the line on the channel, so stay tuned and we'll see you next time.